Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Hindsight, where we see bad situations that can be avoided by good reasoning. But sometimes a situation is unavoidable and self defense is needed to get you to safety.
All right, folks, it's us, Hindsight. We're back at it again. Here, delivering to you these cases, looking after the fact, seeing what could be done differently in the situation to keep you safe and sound. This is a martial arts podcast. We try not to do much hero worship and just get you the information so that you could go on about your business, apply it, and do whatever you want to do with it. So, as you know, Sensei Tai has been with us for the past couple of episodes or so, and we want to have you, the listener, kind of get to know him. So we're going to talk with Sensei Tai for a little bit. Sensei Tai, tell the listeners who you are, where you're from, your martial arts experience, background, that sort of thing.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. I'm really glad to be here. My name is Sensei Tai, born and bred in the Bronx. My martial arts background, I have a black belt in an eclectic form of jiu-jitsu, also in a martial art called American Tae-Go-Juru. One of my primary instructors was our departed brother, Sensei Buddha. And what I've done with the martial skills is I am a licensed security here in New York State. I've also worked with organizations that serve emotionally disturbed people and people with different types of mental illnesses that can be violent prone. So I had to know how to deal with that. I've also worked in a New York City juvenile jail as a jail guard. And, there's no time for cutesy stuff that doesn't work when you're working in jail. So it has to be stuff that really works. And just the people I've trained with generally, everyone comes from like some type of law enforcement, public safety, or executive protection, or doorman, bouncer background. So it's all about best practices, and that's what I'm bringing to the table.
Okay, so Sensei Tai, can you, I guess, fill the listeners in on, how many situations you've been in where you had to apply what you've learned, so to speak?
Well, I hope I don't disappoint the listener, but I really don't get into that many situations because most things are avoided because I keep my head on swivel, as we say. I'm very aware of my situation and my surroundings, so I don't get into a lot of issues. But when I was working the juvenile jail, I was literally hands-on every day because, the youngsters would turn up and they would try to assault staff, including myself. So there's things I had to do to subdue them without causing any real injury for a lot of reasons. First of all, they're in my care, and a lot of them were under 18 years old. And you don't want to be accused of child abuse or anything like that. So when it came to my work, it was just about every day was a hands-on situation, at least 2 a day. But in my personal life, very rarely. I mean, when it comes to having fights, oh boy, I've maybe had to use like my training maybe like 4 times in like the last 20 years. The most recent example was there was a family function, and 2 of my relatives are in law enforcement, and they got into it about something ridiculous, and guns came out. No one was pointing it at anyone, but they pulled it out to clear the upper receiver and put the weapons down, and they were really, that was an alcohol-induced argument, and they were, too much Hennessy, I think, and people were, they were really trying to hurt each other. So part of my training, a lot of things I've learned, particularly from Sensei Buddha, was protecting yourself was one thing, but when you have to keep someone off of someone else, that's a different set of skills that you have to develop. So I had to do that. I don't have a lot of war stories to tell in my personal life because generally the whole point is to be aware. It's like a old samurai saying, "I'd rather be a samurai in a garden rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in the middle of a war." So I don't have outside of my work situations. There were not a lot of reasons for me to put hands on anyone.
Okay, thank you for that recap. So we're going to move on now to a case that's come up in celebrity news. There's a hip hop artist by the name of FABOLOUS. I think it's spelled F.A.B.O.L.O.U.S. He's alleged to have had an altercation with
Be physicist. You need to do that better. Come on now.
Okay.
He spells his name in the damn song. F.A.B.O.L.O.U.S.
Bro, I laughed when he said that.
I did have to go on mute because I didn't want to be rude and laugh out loud. That was kind of funny. I'm just trying to say.
I had to let you shine, but I had to just put it out there. That's all. All right, okay. Go on, brother.
All right. So he's alleged to have put hands on the mother of his children. We're hearing reports that her 2 front teeth are missing. It's a big mess. There's some video that we see now where he's outside and there's an SUV. He has a security detail and they're sort of holding him back and they're trying to get him out of the situation. And that's where my focus is on what's going on here. We don't know. All the facts haven't come in about this situation with her. It's a domestic dispute, obviously. But from what we can see from the evidence that we have, the video, pretty much the only thing that I can critique is the security. But before we get into that, we've got another guest on the line, King Tut, who's made it. Sensei Buddha was the one that we would call Rip Van Winkle. I think we should nickname King Tut Rip Van Winkle Jr. because he was getting some rest right before we came on through this podcast. So King Tut is going to be joining us for the podcast, but first, you know what it is. You know who's up next. Suave, what say you?
What's up, brothers? Sensei Ty, old Rip Van Winkle Jr., little Pepito, King Tut, and Brother B. What's going on, fellas? The listeners, how you doing? So before I get into it, I got to throw out that little reckless ass disclaimer I got. Our views and opinions, our views and our own are the hindsight. So please don't take it generally. This is for entertainment purposes only. So don't take the words we say to go call a lawyer, go shout us out. Don't see me on the street and say you want these hands, you will get these hands. And when these hands end up all over you, don't say it's because you listen to the hindsight. I'm sorry. It's just for fun. Let's get into it. You know what? Man, I just can't stop laughing. F.A. You sound like Ben Stein, brother. That was a good way to start it, man. F.A.B.O.L.o.u.s. I always try to make a sight of some gist of everything that happens. But, the one thing I can't never condone it, even though as much as another person or loved one may piss you off, but a person of the opposite gender, some of you care about, especially a female, that's like a red flag. That's a no-no. I don't ever respect that. And, these are, what we do know is that video is not alleged. That video is legit. Now, what happened, and apparently this video stems from an incident that happened in March 7th. So the rapper FABOLOUS and his girlfriend, Emily B, a wife, I think it's his wife, Emily B, they, reality TVs and all that nonsense. We touch on stuff we normally don't do, but we're going to get into it anyway. There was a dispute on March 7th. Then something in the between where allegedly she lost a couple teeth. He put about 6-7 quick Mayweather jabs in her mouth, and she might have lost a couple teeth. Apparently, that's still alleged. We don't know if it happened. That's what she's claiming. And then what ensued was this video where he's, come on, son, you're 40 years old. Stop it. You're 40 years old. Stop it. Her dad is like 50, 60. Who you telling you're going to beat up? Come on, man. You grew up from the generation you're supposed to respect your elders. Respect your goddamn elders. You respect your wife, goddamn elders. Obviously, he ain't got respect for his wife, and he putting hands on her. But you know what? I ain't even going to waste time on this dude like that. It's just nonsense. What I am seeing here, though, is like Brother B. Physicist said, he's going to try to focus more on security detail. I'm just seeing why. I know he pays this dude's bill. He kept saying the security guard's name. You know, we was doing a pre-show, and I was trying to figure out maybe he just in a random city. This dude he don't know. He just hired this company, but you know that's not the case. 'Cause he kept calling. He kept saying the security dude's name, so he's familiar with this dude. This probably the first time this dude handled him or took care of him, and it's crazy that he should have had him away and avoided from this whole confrontation, especially when you see people recording. There's somebody upstairs recording. His wife was recording, because she was scared. And Fab is tall, but he's skinny. He got like maybe 10 pounds more than Snoop do. Pick him up and throw him in the SUV and get out of here. Get him out of here. Why even allow for your security firm, your business, to take a hit like that? Because that I wouldn't hire you. I'm like, you're garbage. You just allowed this dude, because you might and might not know what's really going on in that household. That's a domestic dispute. And if you talk to any law enforcement, a lot of law enforcement guys I do who beat cops, and they told me that's the most dangerous situation you ever go to is a domestic dispute, because that's all emotions, and there's no way to prepare for that. It's always the unknown, because she can go off the handle or he could go off the handle. In this situation, cops wasn't called, and I mean later on I guess they were called. He ended up turning himself in, but on a situation like this, you dismiss excuse. That's like a highway trooper pulling somebody over. It's just it's never uncomfortable. It's never a comfortable feeling. It's always you don't never know what you get. Just a bag of tricks. So security detail should have just threw the dude and threw FABOLOUS in the truck, man. Get out of here, because you hear the baby screaming, and poor babies, they gotta listen to this. I don't know how old the kids are, things like that. I only saw one security dude. I don't know if he had another detail. I saw someone holding the dad back. I saw someone holding Fab back, and he kept gesturing to the dad. He kept gesturing to the wife. If that's your business just got put on blast on a microscope. I don't know how you could spin it, but it's just a bad look. That is a bad, nasty look. It just makes it seem like you're just there just to be there, a big body being there, because you're getting that check regardless. If when things go sideways, they're gonna put all the blame on you anyway. So protect yourself, protect your brand, protect your company and your client. Don't even allow this nonsense to go on. If you knew he was coming here for this, don't even let him come here. You say, you know what, you're gonna come here, you ain't coming here with me. So go and get somebody else. That would have been a smarter look to me. Just for yourself, security company. Y'all know, I don't know. Y'all was a bunch of nonsense. And like I said, I don't want to waste too much time on this. Like I said, I don't condone any domestic violence against women at all. Don't put your hands on women at all. If you got a problem, man, go hit something. And if this is true, if this is actually in fact true, and I as an artist in the music, I do like Fab, and I think he's impeccable in that craft. But as a person, if this is who he is, he's garbage. He's trash. There's no I can't respect you as a man for that. I can respect your craft, but I can't respect you as a man for that. Man, they already got memes of him on where he was talking about hitting a female on his craft, and now he just want to put fiction to fact. Like most rappers want to do. They want to make it seem what they're rapping about is truth. Man, in this situation, this is not what you want to do. Even get about whatever emotional thing you got going on with your wife, whatever emotional thing you got going on with your father-in-law. Yo, think about the kids in the truck, man. They crying because this. If you hear the tones of the cry, pick up on the tones of the cry. This is not new to them. They're used to this. And this is very likely, allegedly, if he did hit her, they were in the house with him. So like I said, man, I just can't condone that. And Sensei Buddha always used to, at the end of shows, when we talked about some type of situation like this, they got domestic abuse hotlines and things like that you can contact depending on what city you're in. So if you're going through something like that, battered women, you know what I'm saying? There's help you could get out of a situation like that. Because you might be married to the money She's been with this dude for years. But if he's done it once, most likely this ain't the last time or the first time he's done it. He just got caught out here in these streets once. That's it. So I'm gonna close out with that. Fellas, all you. King Tut.
Yes, sir. All right. Here's my take on the situation. We all know there's three sides to the story. There's it's going to be Fab side, it's going to be Emily's side, and then it's going to be the truth. A lot of times in this domestic violence situation like that, something had to seriously go wrong. And honestly, it was just too convenient to have a camera phone filming the footage. You know what I mean? So I don't know what the aim was for whoever got that camera footage, because it seemed like that was actually inside the home. So it had to be somebody who was inside the house. My thing is, allegedly, he assaulted her, but until we see the paperwork, we don't know what the deal is. I mean, we haven't seen any pictures of her yet. I'm just saying, I'm just being a devil's advocate, because I don't endorse domestic violence at all, because I feel like if you feel the need to hit your spouse, then you probably don't need to be in a relationship, period. Fabulous, obviously has been a pretty well-known rapper. Obviously he's been last past part of the decade, he's been more of like an underground artist rather than mainstream. Whenever you see him out or you see interviews with him, he seems like a pretty laid-back guy. Now, I know that could be a front also, but I've never seen a video of FABOLOUS agitated at all. So I kind of feel like maybe there might be an agenda against FABOLOUS, because that video just shows somebody. It just shows a party arguing. It doesn't show really any violence at all. I mean, you do see Fab kind of make advances towards, Emily or what have you. But, I mean, he didn't strike her or assault anyone, at that time. Now, the thing with his security detail, a lot of times these rappers, they don't employ a licensed security. They actually employ their homeboys. And obviously, we all know the homies really aren't well versed in situations like that. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. It's like almost like a double-edged sword. You want to hire the homies because you want to provide them with a job, but then again, do your homies really know how to do security properly? Because it's the same thing like when you go to the club. You can go to the club, you stand in line, man. They they don't know how to do a proper pat down at all. Because I gotten in the club by mistake when I had my firearm on. So, well, hopefully, more specifics comes out about this, because until I see the paperwork, I really can't form a judgment against either party. So, I mean, him and Emily, they've been together for a very long time. They have two children. I feel like if it got to this situation, it had to be something very personal. I don't know whether she cheated or he caught her cheating or what have you, but hopefully they resolve their differences, just continue with the relationship, because a broken family definitely isn't the move. Well, that's my take on the situation. Anybody have anything to add to that?
Ty, you want to go in?
Okay, this is Sensei Ty, and I want to speak on more so the security detail and other people that may have been around the situation when the event occurred, particularly like people like whoever recorded the incident. Now, as Brother King Tut said, what a lot of people do, they want to put their homies on, and guys really need to move away from that, and they need to hire professional bonded insurance companies, because if something goes wrong, they will incur the liability. And also because of training, people will know that not only are they protecting you from bodily harm, but they want to protect your reputation, because the optics there looked really, really bad. You can't be screaming, fussing, and cussing and threatening to to shoot people. You just can't do that. Also, as was mentioned earlier, professional insurance, I mean, professional protection people would have just shoved him in the car and got him away from the scene, because it could be a distraction for something else going on. They should have just hustled him out of there, the way Secret Service does to elected officials. Hustle the guy out of there. Also, check out people around him. Like perhaps people should be having non-disclosure agreements so that if they were to release some type of video or something like that of a private affair, I'm not condoning anything that happened, but a non-disclosure agreement will make sure that those type of leaks don't get out because once it's on TMZ, man, in the court of public opinion, it's a wrap for you. So it was very disappointing that his security team did not shove him into that car. And look, they're big and strong. They're hired for a reason. He'll get mad and forgive them later because what they're doing is they're doing their job. They're protecting him from bodily harm and they're protecting the optics. Because in today's social media age, you really don't need these type of things going viral. And as Brother Suave said, the memes are killing Fabulous right now, killing him, and you really don't need that type of press. So I'm interested to find out what happened. I hope that he and his lady fix it up, and children should not see this. And if there is an issue, man, go to counseling, or just sometimes people are oil and water; they just don't mix. I don't know them, but what was shown was not a good look, and he needs to rethink who he has doing the bodyguard work for him, and rethink the other people around him because I don't know who did the video, but if it was someone in his entourage, there should be some non-disclosure agreements that they're not going to share video like that without incurring some type of liability. So those are my concerns and my observations of the video I saw from TMZ. That's all I have.
Okay.
What you got?
Yeah. My take on it is basically I think when you're a celebrity, when you're a public eye, you have a lot to lose. You have to move a bit differently. And I understand helping your friends out with you through the years, but you could always find something different for them to do. When it comes to security, executive protection, professional people are what you need. And in this case, I didn't see much professionalism coming out of what appears to be his security. And what I saw that a little disappointed that I should have seen is them pushing down on his head and then shoving him into the SUV and then driving off. And like Sensei Tai was saying, what happens is it's not just that situation that you're worried about. It's another situation that could possibly be developing, such as an ambush. So now while you're distracted with this particular situation, another situation could be developing down the road. So now you have to deal with this domestic issue. And then let's just say there happen to be some people walking by that say, that's Fabulous. He's a well-known music artist. He's probably got a couple of dollars. Oh, wow, it's a nice SUV. Okay. How much security does he have? I wonder how much he has on him. And, you start getting sized up by the wolves depending on, what part of what neck of the woods you're in. And who knows what could happen? What do they call it on the streets? Catching you slipping. So, okay.
Yes, sir. That is correct. Catching them slipping.
Yeah.
The way you said catching them slipping, just as bad as the way you said Fabulous. We love you, brother. I'm just saying.
I love it.
Okay, so that's one situation that could develop, but also another type of ambush where now security finally pushes the subject into the car. They start to drive, and then one car blocks the road, and one car blocks any possible egress, and then the goons come out with the guns, and then he's stuck. So there's so many situations. There could be, hypothetically speak, there could be a sniper on the roof. maybe that may be going a bit too far, but there's so many things that could go on here. If you're really concerned about your safety, especially when you've had a long career and you've got a lot to lose, I think it's time to start investing in more in your security detail. So that's all I have to say about that. Anybody else want to chime in?
To be fair, on Fab's side, Fab runs with a notorious crew called the Street Family.
Are you dry
that
snitching,
has
sir?
been-
Are you dry snitching, sir?
No, because it's a record. It's public record. You can't
Okay.
dry snitch on public record. You know, the paperwork is already out there, bro.
You want to say allegedly he runs with the crew?
Yeah, allegedly he runs with
Okay,
a notorious
there you
crew
go.
from his projects. I think he's from Bridgeport projects called Street Family. So that has been has been responsible for a couple of well-known incidents. Mainly, I believe you remember Sebastian Telfair, the basketball player. All right, he allegedly he was robbed of his jewels, and that's what culminated in Fab getting shot. I guess some of his goons shot Fab because of that. You know, the thing is my problem with a personal situation like that, man. You know, if you can't, when you have a situation like that, you gotta, especially if you kind of high profile like Fab is, in terms of, I mean, he's not the highest profile, but I mean, he's pretty well known. I mean, you got to make sure that your circle is tight, man, because this doesn't look good, you know? It just doesn't. So, like, again, I don't know what his situation is. I don't know if there's an agenda against him with his family or somebody in the family that possibly just doesn't like him. But he needs to reevaluate whoever's in that circle, especially whoever took that video, because in a personal situation like that, video like that shouldn't be getting out from inside your own home, period. But, I mean, that's my short take on that. Anybody else have any opinions on that?
That video was a money scheme. And that video, like B Physicist said, that was part of that setup scenario. Because the word is out. This is what I'm hearing on the streets. You know, it's all allegedly, but allegedly she was in Vegas with another individual that wasn't him. So he popped up, and they're saying this might have been some, you know, just brewing because of that. So she has some infidelity after, I guess, all the alleged infidelity he may have had on her. So, you know, I guess once it's in turn on reverse side, if it's, you know, whether that be true or not, you know, I think us as men, if that's in fact the case, women takes that a lot better. Not to say that it's okay, but I think they handled it maybe a little better than a male does, or especially maybe a simp male, I would say. So I don't know, like I said, that's what a couple things are saying. Like I don't know how true that is. It's like just the only other thing that's kind of out there that I've been hearing maybe a couple times. I'm just not sure how accurate that is, but like King Tut says, you know, in Sensei Tai, as more information comes out, you know, pictures, medical records, court documents, we'll find out the truth of what really happened that day.
Okay. All right. I think we're done here, folks. You know the website, hindsight.com, HYNDESITE.com. You can email us at thehindsight.com at gmail.com. You could even email us individually, Mr. Suave at hindsight.com, Beat Physicist at hindsight.com, King Tut at hindsight.com, Sensei Tai at hindsight.com. Whatever you want, we'll get it. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time, folks.
Peace.
Peace.